the Ohio River. One of the most crazy hard places to fish in my area. I have a love-hate relationship with it. It's really close to my house, literally. Like right here is roughly where I live, and you can see where the river's at. Very, very close. However, I hate to fish the river. Here recently it's been turning on and turning out some good bags. 15 to 15 pound plus bags a day. 3 pound average, that is stellar around here. We're gonna call this Break Down the River series. We're gonna go out, I'm gonna try to break this thing down as good as possible. Today we're getting a late start. I want to do some evening fishing. It's about 5 o'clock. Again, literally I live 3 minutes from the river. I'm gonna go get my boat, drive down, put it in by myself. I'm gonna show you guys my technique for putting a boat in by myself. It actually works really well if you're going fishing by yourself and you don't have like an Altera that auto deploys itself. But we're gonna go out and break down the Ohio River. If not, we're gonna burn some fuel out of the old Stratus. So let's see what happens. Maybe we can catch some fish, and let's learn how to fish the Ohio River, or any river for that matter, together. Let's try it. Just stopped and got a couple Gatorades, throwing the old Stratus back there. I have a game plan. So one of the two is going to happen today. I'm either going to go out and catch some fish, or this is going to be a winner. I'm not scratching it off until we get back. So could be $100,000 winner right there, ladies and gents. You never know. Probably not. But when you're going to the Ohio River and you're going to try to catch some fish, you got to have something in your back pocket to make you feel like a winner. So in that case, it's going to be lottery ticket. Ohio River, breaking down the Ohio River series, video 1, commencing in 3, 2, 1. All right, a couple of pre-check things to do when I'm putting my boat in the water by myself. First and foremost, make sure you're taking your straps off if you have them. And again, guys, this is my routine because I don't have power poles. So I'm gonna put my plug in. Looks like I have a little bit of water left in there. I have my boat at a weird angle. I'm gonna grab this other strap here, take it off. Couple last things, the motor here. I have a bracket there. Gotta get some lube on that thing, but I have some 3D printed motor stops here that I made. Gotta make sure you take those off as well. There's that. So using my life jacket out. You're gonna need a rope, tie it off when we get down there. And then comes the business end of that deal, and that is the winch. So a lot of people use this thing and let it go down as they want to in the water. You can do that if you want to. My favorite thing to do is to release this a little bit. It's gonna be tough to do with one hand here, but I'm gonna release it, and I'm gonna go 8 or 10 cranks. I'm gonna loosen, actually leave this on there, don't take it off there yet. But you do wanna lock that up so it won't let it go any farther, and we're gonna back the boat in the water. Then it'll be floating and you can get it off a lot easier. So what that does, I actually went just a little too small that time, but it allows it to come off that first roller there, allows it to float, allows you to get off the trailer a little easier. Probably should have went a little further than that. You want it to be a little gap in between your trolling motor. You can see it's actually resting there on my trolling motor mount, which is not good. So leave it out a little bit farther and you'll be good to go. Again, we're using this as a break down the Ohio River series. Again, I have a love-hate relationship with this place. I'm gonna try my best to break this thing down, try to catch some fish. I'm at the mouth of Storms Creek here in Ironton, Ohio. I know there's some rocks out in the edge of this thing. The river is fairly muddy compared to what I think it should be. We haven't had a ton of rain in this area, but it's been really, I guess, rainy somewhere else. So I'm gonna fish this creek a little bit. There's a spot up in here right before it goes up into this old boat dock that's usually pretty good. We're gonna try it, find out. So what I'm gonna choose to throw initially, I have a lot of baits in here that I'm not going to throw for sure. I'm gonna throw a Rapala BX Brat. I'm going to throw a 1.5. Apologize for the wind if you guys are hearing that. I'm gonna be throwing a jig, swim bait, spinner bait from the tackle box. Obviously, is a huge player on the river. Get back in this thing a little bit. Definitely gonna throw this popper, especially back in these creeks. In the summertime, guys, you don't really find, in my opinion anyway, find many fish in creeks. However, river fishing is a lot different animal than lakes or you know, tributaries like that. So we're not going to rule them out. The Rapala Brat is something that I think is going to catch fish. I've only thrown it at St. Clair. They didn't eat it up there, but they weren't eating moving baits, it didn't seem like. So I know it's going to be a player in places like this. Again, these are balsa baits, which are really cool. I'll be throwing this around. I'm gonna grab this spinner bait out, show you the spinner bait that I choose for the Ohio River all the time. Always have this tied on in my boat no matter where I'm fishing at. But the river, it is a must that you have a tackle box spinner bait tied on. This is a double willow leaf blade, white, 2-aught Gamakatsu trailer hook. This is on the Shimano 172 medium rod. Really good spinnerbait rod. And as you guys watched on my live show the other day, I told you guys, if you're fishing bottom contact, it is very important that you have a really sensitive rod. G Loomis NRX, IMX Pro, Poison Adrena on the Shimano side. There's a lot of different ones. But for the sake of just fishing stuff that are moving baits, such as this Rapala BX Brat or my spinner bait, even that popper. The reason I throw a popper on a high-end rod, which is a G Loomis IMX Pro, it's a 7 series crankbait rod, is that I have that parabolic bend for fish that actually eat it, and so that gives me the opportunity not to rip the fish or the hook out of the fish's mouth. And again, you guys are probably not gonna be able to see it much. I have my camera set up so it doesn't fall in the water. But I'm gonna fish the mouth of Storms Creek here. There's some rocks that come out, big chunk boulders and stuff. There's some grass and some weeds back in here, but my ideal situation is to get back in here and fish back in this it used to be an old marina. And if you can get back in there, you can usually catch them, but it is a really tough time to get back in there. But there's one little spot back in here about 10 years ago that I came back here on the bank and casted to the exact same spot every time and caught fish after fish after fish after fish. I want to think I caught 50 plus fish in one day from a 10-foot spot. They were just up in there for some reason. So we're going to try it out.
there's one. Right here on the edge where this point comes in. He may be a keeper. That's a little spot. I don't think he's gonna keep though. Chewed that little BX Brat right there. Again, these BX Brats are balsa baits. So they run a little different than a 1.5 normally. I like it. First fish I've caught on that thing. Again, this is a BX Brat 6-foot diver. Beautiful little spotted bass. He ain't 12 inches. He's gonna go back in the water. I'm gonna measure him just to be, no, not. He's about 9 inches. So fish number one, not bad. Right on the point, guys. He's right here on this point on these rocks, as I mentioned a second ago. Don't be afraid to cast multiple angles on these points, guys. Fish can only be looking one way at a time. You know, they'll be looking for in one way or the other. If you throw behind them, they're probably not gonna see it. However, you throw back in there again, they may be either switched or you're throwing at a different angle and they're actually, you know, facing towards your bait and you have a better chance of getting a strike. And again, so I'm beating this little point up right here. And most of the time, one of the things that I've, you know, had to come to terms with is that there's, you know, to spend a lot more time on spots that I think hold fish. For example, I just pulled right up here in this mouth of this creek, caught one little spot. It wasn't a keeper, but it does give me hope that there are fish either in the mouths of these creeks or maybe some bigger fish up in these creeks. But it gives me a starting point. But I'm paralleling the banks. I'm coming right straight off the points. I'm doing a lot of stuff. There's a fish right back there. You didn't see it, but hit the top of the water. I don't know what it was. Hopefully it's not a big gar, because if it's a gar, I will not see this crankbait again. I have this irrational fear of fishing underneath bridge pilings like this, or bridges, and getting smacked in the head by somebody littering. I'd say the odds of you getting hit by something would be slim to none, but I know it wouldn't feel good. The water temperature right now in this creek's 80 degrees, 77, 80 out there on the main. Water clarity is a lot less in this little creek we're in. This creek has filled in a ton. I'm right now in the main channel of it, and it's only 5.5 foot deep. So I'm not gonna spend a ton of time in here. I don't think that they're gonna be in this water that's 5 foot deep. I do know that I caught that fish out there on some riprap or some submerged rocks. So that may be something I go down the river here, see if I can pick up some more of that cover, some more of that area on the river. 5 foot here around this bridge pylon here, this bridge embankment here, or the bridge, I don't even know what they're called, the bridge concrete here. Might be where one's staying. Back in here, there's a lot of timber, down timber and stuff. Again, I'm gonna fish my way back here. I know I'm not gonna be able to get in that cove that I'm talking about because it is 5 foot deep here in the channel, and it was way shallower than that back in there. So I'm probably not even gonna try, but I am gonna fish back in this way. I don't like the water clarity here. I'm gonna pitch a jig and stuff around these trees. Maybe they're not chasing. That little spot may have given me a little false hope. Put this joker down for a minute. Throw a spinnerbait. A little JB's fish sauce, pinch of garlic. Give her a few sprays and go at it. One thing about a spinnerbait is that you can fish it in a lot shallower water around cover and stuff. You're going to get it hung up, there's no doubt. But usually they're fairly easy to get unhooked. It gives a little bit of thump in the water so the fish can feel it with their lateral line. Because again, we're about maybe 1.5 foot, maybe a foot visibility here on the Ohio River, which it doesn't get super nice. It doesn't get a lot of clarity to it, but it does clear up a lot. And again, I don't know why it's so dingy and dirty right now, but I feel like they're going to be on the main river anyway. I just wanted to start here, and again, with this series, I'm going to attempt to break down the Ohio River in an attempt to potentially catch more fish in the Ohio River. Professional overrun there. So you have to start somewhere when you're breaking down something. Even though I've fished the river all my life, and I've fished many tournaments on the Ohio River, and I fish the Greenup pool here all the time, it has eluded me to catch numbers of fish or quality of fish here on the river. So with that being said, I'm going to attempt to use this video series to figure them out. I'm throwing this on a 7-to-1 gear ratio, so that's why I'm kind of slow rolling it. It looks like I'm slow rolling it, but I'm really not. I'm really fishing it, you know, fairly normal. Just got it on a high-speed gear ratio right now. One thing that I don't have tied on right now that I'm going to spend some time in just a second before we get out of here and tie on is going to be some sort of Texas rig, speed crawl, something. Maybe a chunk crawl, jackal chunk crawl, some kind of creature or crawdad, crawl style bait. I think I'm gonna go with a really light, I may even go lead. I don't ever hardly fish lead anymore, but I'm gonna go like maybe 3/16 or something, something that causes it to fall fairly slowly. I'm going to tie on a Texas rig of some sort here. What I have is my Texas rig rod. This is a 7.3 medium heavy Shimano Poison Adrena with the 2020 Core Solid Metanium. I told you guys a second ago, or I mentioned it, that I was probably going to go lead. The reason that is because I don't have any tungsten in this boat that's small enough. I want this thing to fall fairly slowly. I just made number one mistake. I need to I peg all my weights when I'm Texas rigging. So I bought these bobber stops here on Amazon back before the coronavirus from China. They were literally like $8 for 1,000 of them. So my bobber stop, then I'm going to put my lead weight. I don't hardly ever fish lead anymore, just for the simple fact of the sensitivity of the tungsten. I have a 4/0 offset shank worm hook here. I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to tie it with just the standard improved clinch knot. Make sure I wet the line. Then I'm going to cut that tag end off. And guys, actually Kyle bought these things for me for Christmas last year, year before last. These are Mustad KBD pliers. These things are phenomenal. Got a little lock on there. We're gonna cut the tag end of it off there. Make sure you wet the line either with saliva or lake water, river water in this case. Push that peg all the way down on there. Again, I'm going to use a speed crawl, I believe, in here. It seems like that's what I want to do. And I'm gonna pitch around some of this stuff on the way out of here, just to make sure that I'm getting a lot of flow out of here, which is weird. It's like squirrel, but I think they opened the lock, so I'm actually flowing out of here, which may be a good thing. So let's get this thing rigged up, see what's up. Yeah, we're moving out of this thing now. I didn't see this earlier, so I feel like they just opened the lock, probably letting a barge to go through, getting some flow. But ultraviolet speed crawl, zoom, green pumpkin, fish any color you want to, as long as it's a green pumpkin. Go back through the back of it, just a normal Texas rig here, guys. Turn the bait. I use a 4/0 with a speed crawl because it takes up the entire bait. You can see the hook coming out here. It takes up the entire bait. Tex pose that thing back in there, and we're ready to rock and roll. Let's catch them. Yeah, there's a lot of current coming out of here now, so they definitely have done something with the dam to change the flow. They're either locking a barge through, changing the flow, going through the locks, something. But normally, a little bit more current, especially in river situations like this, they seem to bite better, especially in the Ohio. This little creek brings back so many memories for me when I was a kid. So many memories. Underneath this bridge used to be chimney swallows. They're little birds that would fly down past your head. Matter of fact, I think there's one that just went out through here, but just amazing how things change and how time changes things. They used to dredge this out all the time because there used to be a boat dock back in here called Hager's Boat Dock. It was a marina. And obviously there's nothing back in here now. So they don't take care of it as far as the Corps of Engineers or whoever normally dredges this. They don't have the dredges in here because they don't have to, there's no need to. God, it just looks so good. There's got to be a fish right here. Big submerged boulders, timber, main river coming out of a tributary. I did just see a boat fish this, so let's go. Down there fishing these boulders and rocks I was talking about a second ago. Big chunk rock on the bank. We're, I don't know, 30 yards from the bank right now still, 25, and it's 17 foot deep right here. Pretty much stays that way down through here. It's fairly steep bank. There's a channel swing right here. Kind of comes real close to the river bank, which should be normally really pretty good, especially for river bass. I don't feel like they're pulling much current today at all. Like I said, we were up in Storms Creek there a second ago. They must have been locking a barge through or something because it was ripping me out of there pretty good. And now, I mean, we're moving, but usually on the river, it's usually just ripping you. I just had one of those Randy Howe turnaround moments. Forgot about this little spot here. Right here, there's a big bunch of boulders out from this. I don't know what this used to be. I think this used to be a concrete dock. They would just come down here. There was a concrete plant here, and they would come down here and dump all their old concrete down here. But there's some big chunk rocks out from this. And that's one thing that I've learned over the past few years is that you can't, you know, if you're fishing towards the bank all the time, you're putting yourself in a disadvantage because there's stuff under the water. And that's where, you know, graphs and a lot of electronics come into play. And, you know, I have 6-inch Humminbirds, guys. Humminbird is my company. I love their stuff. But they're, you know, all graphs are expensive. I'm looking to upgrade. Again, you guys saw that's one of my goals for the 2020 fishing season is to upgrade to a 12-inch Solix on my dash back there. But we actually found this spot with Kyle's boat about probably 7-8 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, and started fishing it. And there for a while, we were catching a ton of fish off this little spot, again, because it's about 20 foot deep where I'm at, but it's about 10 foot deep with some, you can see some of the little chunk rock there. It's just big limestone, but it's underneath the water here, under the surface, you can't see it. So this is where stuff like this comes into play as far as using graphs to find it. And then, you know, basically storing it in your memory and coming back to it. But it also can get you in trouble fishing from memory. I've had several times in my life where I've went to places and caught fish and then went back and tried to do the same thing and recreate it, and I can't do it. And one of those, if you guys watched the series where Josh and I 2 years ago won the Pedro Bass Club tournament at Yatesville, deep cranking in timber, we went back there the very next week, and tried to do the exact same thing and just absolutely blanked. We caught a couple fish, that was it. It was, you know, that's where fishing from memory can get you in trouble, but finding spots like this and, you know, marking on your graph or remembering where they're at gives you an opportunity to come back and maybe catch a fish or two off from them. All right, so a lot of times I get in my head, I catch a fish on a crankbait or some other bait early in the day, and I keep this thing in my hand all day, man. It's not working, obviously. Caught one fish on it, like third cast in, got bit by a freaking some sort of ant or sweat bee, lit me up a second ago. But that has nothing to do with me not catching fish. So one of the biggest things I have to learn how to do is switch baits in a more timely manner when I'm trying to figure the fish out. Battery's about to die on the camera. putting my stuff up, waiting on a boat to get on the ramp here so we can get out here. So this is the first episode of breaking down the Ohio River series. The very first thing that I did was, I caught a spotted bass on a Rapala Brat, 6-foot BX Brat, and it threw me off the whole day. I tried to fish some rocks, I tried to fish some stuff, I just couldn't get bit. Water clarity is maybe hurting them. We are talking about the Ohio River here, so the only thing I have to look forward to here in just a second, again, I told you guys I have that scratch off lottery ticket in my truck, and I told you one of them was going to be a winner, this one or that. So this trip's not been totally good, but we did catch one fish. But the next episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Angler app, I'm going to use the Navionics app and a few other things to break down the river in this pool to try to find things that may not be evident in the naked eye. For example, maybe some sandbars, maybe there's some sunken barges. I'm going to use satellite technology to my advantage and try to make that happen. So we're gonna scratch this lottery ticket off, guys, see what we did, see what we won there. But the first episode of breaking down the Ohio River is in the books. Not so great, but thanks for sticking around on this episode of On Another Line. If you like fishing content and you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button down there. I have a really high goal of 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I've pretty much come to the terms that that's not going to happen. That would be about 30 months from now when that's happening. I'm getting about 80 to 100 subscribers a month. But those of you guys that have subscribed and continue to push my content to people that you know, I appreciate you guys. Next time, we're going to be breaking down the river using some technology. And then after that, we're going to use that technology to go catch some more fish. So without further ado, guys, if you can get out there and lean on them, go do so. We'll see you next time on Another Line.